Hey everyone, I'm going to talk to you today about making sure you're progressing in your routine appropriately. So I'm going to pull up this document here, which you should have received. If you didn't, make sure to let me know. It's called your training program guide. And we start off here at the top talking about a little bit of the purpose and the philosophy with the training program and why things are the way they are. And then this is going to be the part we focus on here, ensuring progress in your training program. And read through this, but I'm going to talk you through it a little bit and elaborate a little bit. So the deal is unless I'm right there training with you, I don't necessarily know exactly how many reps you should be doing or the weight you should be lifting. So I'm not going to tell you how much weight you should be lifting unless you're more of an advanced client, you're a plus ultra client. But in most cases, you're going to be responsible for finding the starting weight and progressing in terms of reps and in terms of weight from week to week. And I've laid out here how to do that appropriately. Now, I'll come in and I'll progress in some ways by changing exercise variation and adding additional sets. But you're responsible for those more incremental progressions of adding a little bit of weight or adding some additional reps. So this is all predicated that you understand RIR. I have laid out what RIR means all over the place. That means reps in reserve. How many more reps could you do before you hit failure in any one given set? So for example, bench press, I do 10 reps RIR 4. That means I could have done 4 more reps before my technique got real sloppy and broke down. RIR 0 means I am at technical failure. So if I do push-ups to RIR 0, for me personally, maybe that's 45 push-ups. And then at that mark at RIR 0, I can't do any more push-ups with decent technique. Maybe I can squeeze out a few more, but they look really crappy. They're, the technique's just falling apart. So we almost never go there. So you will be given a exercise, a number of sets, a rep range, and a prescribed RIR. So the RIR trumps all. RIR trumps all. The rep range you are given is more of an estimate, and it's okay if you're a little imperfect. So we've got an example here. So if we look at this table here, scenario 1, you're given bench press. It's week 1, so RIR 3 to 4. Suggested rep range is 5 to 10 reps. And then you're going to be kind of choosing your weight. So you'll do a few warm-up sets, and you'll try to find what is the weight that allows me to hit about 3 to 4 RIR somewhere within this rep range. So let's say you choose 135, and your reps that you perform is 9 reps on set 1, then 8 reps on set 2, then 8 reps on set 3, and then 7 reps on set 4. And each one of those sets, you felt like you were 3 to 4 reps away from failure. And right here, I have this actual RIR. That's more for in your head. You can track that if you like. So did you pick the appropriate starting weight in this case? Yes, you did. Perfect. So we're kind of pretending this same person, we have an idea of their strength. So here's scenario 2. Okay, same thing, bench press, RIR 3 to 4, same suggested rep range, but this time they choose 145. So they go 8, 6, 6, 5, and their actual RIRs are 4, 3, 3, 3. And did they pick an appropriate starting weight? Yes, they did. The reps are a little bit lower. Their RIRs just a hair lower, but they're still within that rep range. They did a great job. So that's good, perfect. Scenario 3, same thing, bench press, prescribed RIR 3 to 4, suggested rep range 5 to 10. This time they choose 125, so a little lighter. And so this time they do 12 reps on set 1, 10 reps on set 2, 10 reps on set 3, and 9 reps on the final set. And here's the actual RIRs, 4, 4, 3, 3. Okay, so here I put yes, close enough. Just be ready to progress next week. So in this case, the weight's maybe a little bit on the light end, and they had to go to 12 reps in order to get to that appropriate RIR. So yes, it's outside of the rep range of 5 to 10 a little bit, but it's still pretty darn close, and it's no big deal. We just probably up the weight a little bit next week, and we'll get into that. Scenario 4, once again, same exercise, prescribed RIR, suggested rep range. but this time they choose 155 and their reps are 5, 4, 4, 3. And it's so heavy, their RIRs are actually dipping down into 2, 1. So in this case, no. You went significantly too heavy and you need to lower the weight next week. So this is what we want to avoid on our week 1. So just to recap, guys, on week 1, you're almost always going to be given RIR 3 to 4. Then the following week, you're going to progress in one of the following fashions. So now we're going to talk about the 2 ways in which you progress from week to week. You are responsible for making this happen. So method number 1 is to increase load and match reps. So with this method, you'll increase the amount of weight you use while matching the number of reps you performed last week as closely as possible. And this will indirectly lower the RIR you're hitting from week to week. So for example, we've got a table here. Now this time, we're using a similar example here. The exercise is bench press. This is week 1. We're shooting for an RIR 4. Sometimes I'll say 3 to 4. Sometimes I'll just say 4. And the reps you get are 9, 8, 8, 7, and you use 135. So great. So then next week comes along, we want to progress. Prescribed RIR, it's week 2, so you're shooting for more of like 3. So you just up the weight to 140, and we get basically the same reps. We do get the same reps, 9, 8, 8, 7. So that's a perfect progression. Week 3 comes in, we up the weight by 5 pounds, 145, we get the same number of reps. Great. And then the final week, or the 4th week in this case, we up the weight 5 pounds again, we still get the same number of reps. And we're checking ourselves, are we getting an appropriate RIR? So this is just how to add weight while getting similar reps. Now here I put in a note, this method doesn't always work perfectly and yield the desired RIRs. Do the best you can. You can increase weight every 2 or 3 weeks instead of every week. So for example, let's say we're here on week 2, and we got these reps, we're like, ooh, those RIRs were kind of dipping down into like 2. I matched the same reps, but it was pretty hard. I don't know if I'm going to be able to match it next week. Well, just keep the weight the same next week, 140, shoot for the same number of reps, see what happens. We don't have to progress every single week, but we should know that we're moving towards progress. Every 2 to 3 weeks, we should see progress. So that's method number 1, increasing weight and trying to shoot for the same number of reps. Now let's go into method number 2, increase reps, maintain load. Okay, so we're starting out with that same example again. We're doing the bench press, prescribed RIR 4 on week 1, and we use 135 pounds, and we get 9, 8, 8, 7. Okay, and we felt like in our head that, okay, each one of those sets was about RIR 4. So now next week, what we're going to do is we're just going to up the reps. We're going to keep the weight the same. And so now instead of 9, 8, 8, 7, we go 10, 9, 9, 8. Okay, and then week number 3, we go 11, 10, 10, 9. And then week 4, we go 12, 11, 11, 10. So by the time we're here on week 4, we're shooting for an RIR of more like 1. And we've upped these reps. And just by upping the reps, keeping the weight the same, we have indirectly let the RIR come down, which makes sense, right? That now you're doing more reps, so you're getting closer and closer to failure. So this is a great method. This one can be pretty consistent. Now you don't have to increase the number of reps every single set. So for example, if we look at the difference between week 2 and week 3 here, you know, week 2 was 10, 9, 9, 8. Week 3, it could have also been 10, you know, instead of that, we could be 10, 10, 9. So in this case, we upped the number of reps on 2 sets, but not all 4 sets. That's still good progress. That's still moving in the right direction, especially if that feels like that's more appropriate for the designated RIR. Okay. And now we add a little bit of nuance, guys, and we look at option number 3, where we use a combination of increasing reps and increasing weight, and we observe our RIR go down. I put parentheses, reps don't have to match exactly. So in this case, once again, week 1, we're starting out with the same thing. And then we get into week 2 here, and we see that, what do we do here? We up our weight and we match the reps. Actually, the reps go down a little bit in this case. So we up the weight, the reps go down just a hair, no big deal. We don't typically want to see our reps go down a lot, but if they go down a little bit in order to maintain RIR, no big deal. So, we went up by the 5 pounds. We noticed our reps had to go down a little bit. So then here in week 3, we keep the weight the same again, and we work on upping those reps again. And then week 4, we decide to then up the weight again, and we try to match the reps. So don't get too caught up in the exact details of this example, but realize we use kind of a combination of feeling it out and always keeping RIR in mind. We'd used a combination of increasing the reps and increasing the weight, and those together brought our RIR down. So, just think through this one more time out loud here. If here at week 1, I'm prescribed that I should be hitting 4 reps away from failure on every set, and I achieve 9,887 at 135. Now week 4 comes around, I'm told I should be hitting close to 1 rep shy away from failure. Well, I've upped the weight 10 pounds, and I'm getting about actually just a couple more reps. That makes sense, right? So note that it doesn't have to be perfect. We don't want our reps to be going down too much. So if you're increasing load so fast that your reps are really falling, that's typically not what we want to do. So to summarize that, okay, we've got one last point here, sorry. So sometimes you'll be given an exercise with an exact number of reps rather than a rep range, and it won't have a prescribed RIR. So sometimes we'll use that on more mobility exercises, corrective exercises, functional core exercises, things like Cossack squats, or things that require some balance and coordination, things that are really more there to help improve how you move. On movements like that, we're not really too concerned with RIR. So in cases like that, I want you to just ignore RIR and complete the number of reps that you're given. So to summarize, starting out, training needs to be appropriately challenging from the start. And in order to do that, you need to pick an appropriate starting weight. So 2, training needs to become more challenging over time. So 3, your coach, me in this case, I'm going to progress you by changing exercises and adding sets. If you're a Plus Ultra client, I may come in there and micromanage you a little bit more. You are responsible for progressing your program using the methods described above, which are A, using the increased load and match the reps method, or B, increase reps and match load method, or C, a combination of A and B. And once again, I say that it's okay if you don't progress every single week, so long as the progression is clearly evident over a period of several weeks. If you're feeling really tired, you're sleep deprived, you're under recovered, and you have an occasional workout where you didn't progress, don't sweat it. Just focus on the big picture. And then the last point is that some exercise will have fixed reps. In that case, focus on progressing just by improving the quality of the technique. And then guys, down here, I've got a glossary of all these terms. RIR, what's a set, what's a rep? If any of that went over your head, you need to come down here, read through this glossary of terms and make sure this is all clicking with you. So I hope that's helpful for you guys. Let me know if you have any questions, and feel free to get in touch with me, and we'll make sure you're working towards those goals, making progress almost every week.